leaving the last video in January, ending January 27th, Monday. It's raining, heavy rain outside, and thunder. In the United Kingdom, England. Unedited video. After I've done my duty, disabled people do not sit at home doing nothing. Excruciating pain after eating, not digesting the food right. Just had some porridge and 2 small blood oranges. And trying to digest that, my stomach's not working properly, not digesting properly. Literally within 1 hour I'm wasted. So I have to wash my dish. My bird is eating the millet. Has a millet spray. And, oh, I've got some fluff on my nose. And has the normal body food. The normal body food, which is a feast. It has a mixture of different millet, canary seed, and red millet. Feast. So that has been refilled. I have 2 or 3 of those that haven't been opened yet. What is that? It's a bit of... Is it flaky skin? After I wash my dishes, I like to wash the sink and see what I can do. It's every day is a new beginning from Christ and God. And every day is a fair challenge. My animals are here to motivate me, get up, care for me, because if you don't get up and because if you don't care for me, no one else will. So that's how they're my therapy. I have 1 budgie, drinking water now. I gave them some sunflower seeds, and the other budgie died, who was Musa. This one's Musa. Mu'usasa. Mu'usasa. It could be a female or a male. Drinking water, fresh water every day. Died from eating a sunflower seed, so no more sunflower seeds for them. So I have 1 bird. I'd like to have 2 birds, a pair. I think this is a female. I was told that the beak is bright in colour if it's a male. So I think this is probably a female. So it's not Musa, it's Mu'usasa. Female version of Moses, within Moses' family, anointed by the Holy Spirit, and my daughter's supposed to be within the family of Joseph, anointed by the Holy Spirit. So I've tidied up all my things in that area, and I've tidied up behind me in that area, getting ready to do more writing. I've got to straighten this thing, which has collapsed. This thing has collapsed over here, so it needs to be reorganized. Oh, where's my finger gone? So this thing needs to be reorganized. That's what I'll be doing, planning to do this week, but it's urgent for me to do. Bonnie has had a fresh food in her dish, removed all the old food in the bin. I have to remove every day a square of wall where she does her business. She eliminates, does a little stool that looks like vegetable peas. And have to hoover that, over it. And who took the sunflower seeds? It was my Syrian hamster who took all the sunflower seeds instead of the bird. So I'd like to have a pair of birds, a pair of rabbits, and 1 Syrian hamster that cannot be a pair. I don't wash my hair in the sink because I don't have this special equipment to hold and to stretch. So I use coconut oil and argan oil and various types of oil to treat my hair, natural hair colour, protect my hair, and also make sure that the scalp is massaged so that there's no flakiness and there's no dandruff. So has YouTube, social media, and Facebook, which I haven't used for 7 or 8 years, ruined my life by putting me on the path of very dangerous non-Christians? So it sounds arrogant of me just to say I am a people and there are no people. They're not people. Because cursed have nothing in common with the blessed. And I've prayed for many years in suffering, God, separate them so that we can differentiate and know the difference between those who are condemned by God, those who are not condemned by God, who are rather persecuted and bullied and tortured and forced to be guilty for something that they're not guilty on, forced to carry a curse of somebody else. And so this is why these politicians and governors and any corrupt professional who further victimizes us survivors. And so I'm not a victim because I survived against all odds for many years. So I'm not treated with the respect that I deserve by the police force, by social media, and by any professional who doesn't acknowledge what I have survived. So I've survived child abuse, child neglect, being abandoned in a foreign country, being abandoned by my relatives my parents. My mum and dad made me, they both lost virginity at the same time and made me as their firstborn, and they treated me as a runt of a litter, as if I'm an animal rather than a human. And so I was hated by my own parents because they hated each other. They're covert narcissists, they're abusers. Both of my parents have secretly murdered their mothers. So my father murdered his mother. My mother murdered her mother by overstressing her, overreacting, overdoing, treating her as a slave. And that evil history wants to be repeated through my daughter, who is treating me as a slave. So it is a generational curse. It is what they do together and unite in the force of darkness, so that they're uniting all the tyrants, they're uniting all the abusers, they're uniting all the bullies, they're uniting all the oppressors, they're uniting all the richists, they're uniting all the politically powerful and professionally powerful. They're all being united. And God's people must stop being cowards and not ignore inequality. God's people must stop being cowards and agree with the united dark forces, representatives of the wickedness of wrongdoers. So, and the fifth pointer I have survived is being an outcast, an orphan, being demonized, and all the negative D's in a dictionary, hate crime, simply for saying, I have more character than you. I am more honest compared than you. I haven't purchased my virtues compared to you. I'm more beautiful than you, even if I do seem sick, crippled, bloated, which is not fat, it's being bloated for not having the medication. So I'm dying in chronic pain in my back, chronic pain in my stomach, and everywhere else. So I'm falling to bits and pieces with not having the right type of treatment, not having the right type of diagnosis, not having the right type of attention, not having the right type of category, and constantly being victimized. So I had a letter from the police force. See if I can find it somewhere. Where is it? I opened the letter regarding the theft of my bin, regarding the criminal in my neighborhood that constantly buzzes my doorbell. But that hasn't, they say they acknowledge, it's how they worded it. We acknowledge that you have been a victim of crime. We are sorry, and we're sorry that that's the case. But there's two types of sorries. There's one that is sorry and respects you with that sorry. And there's another type of sorry that is sorry, but we don't respect you. So all migrants in England who are legal migrants, who are unemployed, sick and disabled, are blamed. Or they're saying, oh, you're making it worse than it actually is. And all types of... So there's various different types of problems with the spine. There's various different problems with the gut. Some are more severe than others. So that the corrupt government has obliterated. So we cannot measure the intensity of that pain or problem. We cannot measure how the pain has increased or decreased. It's not considered for people who are in poverty. It's only there for the rich and the working class, the private sector. So again, this is an attack, part of Agenda 21, which is the centrist government. The EU is also a centrist government. It's a bit of both, of the elite, the leftist, and the right, which is the globalist, or the oligarchies and the imperials. So they're the globalists. And the European Union is in the centre, in the centrist government. And it's very scary, because I'm saying I want nothing to do with it, because God's kingdom, even Jesus Christ said, my kingdom is not of your kingdom, my world is not of your world. We're going to be part of the world, we're going to be in the world, not be part of the world. So we're not you. And so how Facebook, that I've discontinued using it for 8 years, had ruined my life, because they forced me to look like as if I love the world. They forced me to look like as if I am part of the world. I'm not voting for a government because of my status. And neither do I want to vote for a government, because we're not of the same stock. One is of the devil, the other one is of God. And many false Christians have betrayed God and have gone out to incriminate and to do all the negative letter D's in the dictionary against God's people who are on the sickbed. So this political whore in the book of Revelation that has made everybody drunk based on the trade, and has forced her guilt and her shame on innocent women who abstained from sex, such as me, to have the curse of being sick on my bed. So that curse that is on me should be on her. So the oversexed, the overfed, they have over-traveling, they're overdoing it, they overdid it, are not God's people. There are no people. So they have indoctrinated the education system. They had segregated and separated unlawfully, unfairly, and they break their own rules when it comes to the NHS, the entertainment system, the social system, and the working system. They've divided. So it's God's turn to divide the wicked from the unholy, from the holy. And since they know that, that's why they've attacked me. To say, I'm not a criminal, neither will I be a criminal, never ever. And if you made me a criminal by making me a victim. You made me a criminal by putting me on the path of my old enemy, who is a slave master, imperial, part of Donald Trump's society. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton and Putin are all the same. Number one, they are imperials. That means they only look after the rich. Number two, they are a false Christian, false saints in Satan. Number three, they have stolen my information and determined to destroy everything I have, including that disgusting and despicable Gordon Ramsay. He thinks he's so handsome, he's so ugly, and all of his women are so ugly, the same as all of the men who are misogynistic and feminists. They're the same as Nazis. So that's their category of how they have segregated and separated. In the category of the oligarchies, the imperials, and the far right and the right, including Tommy Robinson, Nigel Farage, and others they're in that category. So I want nothing to do with them. Stay away from my channel. I've already said no to Stefan Molyneux 7 years ago, who's a slave master in that category. All Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, Putin. Stay away from me. So the first time I went on Facebook, who did I get? All the Trump supporters, including Jay. All of them belong to the same category. So the devil is dividing through politics, and saints and God are dividing too, to say you have no morals, so what are you doing as a moral whistleblower? You have no sense of protecting the people who are not criminals and who are legal migrants living in England. What the hell are you doing as a police officer? So they've separated two types of police, two types of doctors, two types of hairdressers, two types of dentistries, two types of teachers. They're all two types, going twos, but there's actually 3, 4, 5 in the centrist government. That's the worst one, because they're a bit of both. So if there is World War III, they're going to. If there is a World War III, then it will be the European Union that wins and the centrist government that wins. Again, but they're the ones who are implementing Agenda 21. So they're the same as some type of a bad shepherds. And we're all the sheep, follow the crowd. and forcing businesses and all types of economies to go all digital, who is the priority of the right. And I have acknowledged that they're the far right, but they're refusing to call themselves far right because they want to become popular and they want people to like them. No one's going to like you, no matter how much you try and attempt to force people to like you with indoctrination or with any other type of disinformation. So they're constantly lying, they're constantly cheating. I don't like Donald Trump supporters, Stefan Molyneux, Mike Cernovich, Alex Jones. Don't like them. Neither do I like, and they're all the same. Neither do I like TYT, Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, all of Hillary Clinton's, Joe Biden, all of them, Obama. So these are the extremist groups in the both left and far right categories. They're all the same stock of Satan, which cheats, steals, kills and destroys, and are a mixed bunch of also immune criminals. They create a crisis, they create purposes and a plan is to, as perpetrators of antisocial behaviour, make a problem, make me a victim who is not a victim. If I do self-defence, they would also incriminate me. So this type of force I don't trust, but I'm forced to communicate with them because of the area that I live in is a conservative area, which is a far-right voting system within this area. So it's either far right or far, but it's very few of the far left extremists. So it's push down with my hand, kick down with my foot. I just want someone to cut their head off so I can kick it around like a football. That's how much I detest them. They're so disgusting that they would invade somebody's privacy. They would make someone poorer. They would bully people and oppress people. They're just so parasitic and horrible tyrants. They would favour and protect the criminal and the wrongdoer, the evildoer, the bad guy, and they refuse to do anything good. So how are they promoted? And Nigel Farage and Tommy Robinson, and who else is the Tommy Robinson, screaming and crying about the Muslims and the grooming gangs, and because it is the other extreme of so these are the oligarchs, which would be the colonialists, and then there is the capitalists, who are all the children's social services, the kidnappers, the robbers and rapists. They're a different type of a criminal, which is as bad as the right, the extreme left. They're as bad, if not worse, than the right, because the right is dumb. They're so dumb. The amount of equipment and resources that they have in this group that I've just mentioned, they could make the world a better place, but they don't. They waste time, they waste money, and they waste their resources. So they're underproductive. And so childish, as a type of a toddler. That's what they are. They're toddlers. Sort of in the age group of 5 and 6, having a temper tantrum. I would say 5 to 9 age mindset. Gotta have my way, because if I don't have my way, I'll kill. And these ones up there, and I'll make war crime. And these ones up here are adolescent type to adult type. No, they're not adult type. They're adolescent to baby type. Literally constant attention. These ones up here, including Times Radio and Royals and others. The former Queen of England, they have an adolescent tensor type of mindset. Then you have the centrists, where the European Union is, who are the adult mindset. The most crafty, the most cunning, the most dangerous. So they're not the government. They call themselves the government. They're not the government. They're gangsters. So what the hell am I doing on my social media, socializing with them? I don't want to see them on my table. I don't want to acknowledge that they're the ones who are giving me the food for my disability allowance, my income support allowance, and my survival money. It's not their money. It belongs to God. So they're thieves of the banks. They're thieves of our personal privacy violations. So who has a death threat? Is it them up there? Is it them up there? Or is it the gangsters? So it started off as a government here in the right conservative, but 100 years later, from the past to present, it's not a government. So they're all gangsters. They're all villains, criminals. And because they have the money to turn the tables to say that they're not criminals and that they would incriminate the innocent, this is what you call terrorism. They're terrorists. I'm not a terrorist, neither am I a criminal. I'm a sick person who has had her daughter kidnapped at age 9. I have had injustice ever since. No one wants to help me. When in fact it should be the other way around, that no one wants to pay the taxes anymore. No one wants to listen to these imposters and these traitors, because they've been talking about, or they've stolen the virtues and have been talking about how much they want to change the systemic abuse and make things better for hundreds of years, 100, 200 years, since the World War II. And nothing has changed, only more coded condemnation of the innocent and the poorest of society. So I would acknowledge that I am a victim if I was seeing somebody face to face and I was physically robbed and raped. In that case, I'm a victim of crime. However, since these are invisible enemies and they're doing it through new technology, and they invaded my bank, perverts had stolen my voice ID, stolen my image by digital biographic imagery of my face, my voice without my permission. They've said that I was the one as a child. No, I have physical pain every day, so that physical pain makes me sound like a child, sometimes squeaky. I'm not a child. I'm nearly 50, but God has blessed me with eternal youth. I look like a child and sound like a child because God is also fighting my battles and fighting these demons that are constantly making me wounded and in pain. So it is the devil that makes me sound like a child through physical pain, and it is God that makes me sound like a child because of it stealing my youth, stealing my life, and stealing what's rightfully mine, my children. So it's a constant battle between good and evil. I am not going to call myself a victim, neither will I allow a police force in Hertfordshire to call me a victim. Please, I won't even plead. I won't even appeal. I'm just going to make a statement publicly and say this has to stop. Because I am not physically being beaten up. I am not physically being robbed. And I am not physically being raped. I'm emotionally destroyed. So it's emotional abuse, which is as powerful and the same as physical abuse. However, it's not there with me. Even if it lives in my loft, it's still hiding in the loft, or hiding a secret camera, or physically hiding somewhere, lurking around under my windows or shed. It's still an invisible enemy who's stealing my civil rights, killing and destroying. So I acknowledge that emotional and physical abuse are as bad, similar, not the same. I acknowledge that an invisible enemy is not going to be calling me a victim. It is the visible enemy that can call me a victim. The invisible enemy cannot call me a victim because it's a black dot. It's a leech. It's a parasite. It hasn't consumed all of me, only some tiny part of me. So therefore, I am not a victim. I'm a survivor. However, if it has consumed all of me and everything as an invisible enemy, only then would I call myself a victim. So it's very bad that the police force in Hertfordshire, the minor incident of having my doorbell constantly buzzed by a stranger who runs away, that is not a child, all night long and early morning, and being threatened, and my bins constantly being stolen. And then it's a designed and organised crime. And then the police will say, well, we'll have to install maybe some surveillance cameras so that we can watch your area. So they come closer and closer and closer to get involved. So the more I contact the police, the more they victimise me. And so it's very difficult to give instructions to the police, what I want, what my choices are, what options I have. And that's very limited, and it has to improve. It has to change. We need an option who have experienced crime to opt out of the idea that I am either a survivor of crime or opt in to say I'm a victim. Because I know who it is. I've seen the person. It's not an invisible enemy. Therefore, I am a victim. However, since I haven't seen them face to face, I've only seen them on YouTube or Facebook, sort of seen what they look like, but I don't know who they are. They're strangers. Therefore, I'm not a victim. It is them who are the victims. So this is so dumb. So they're so dumb, those of them on the right who are wrongly there, they don't belong there. Because as a matter of fact, they're the centrist government. So it's pulling like a magnet, and sort of the magnet over here and a magnet over there, they're pulling each other, which they are naturally going to repel, resist. But once they get together and get stuck together, the centrist and the right, it's going to be almost impossible to separate them, because they're one of the same, the centrist and the right government, which is a total fraud. They've defrauded everybody. They've defrauded society because of this fact that it is a fraud. America is a perfect example of that. How they've stolen the Founding Fathers' documents and given it to a criminal to change it and to even blot it out, so that it's no longer relevant. And what the Founding Fathers in America did to make peace, to make law, has all been corrupted and replaced by the Conservative government. And so I want nothing to do with them. I want them to stay away. And I want YouTube to stop to stop showing me them. Like, there's a function on the side or on the top for me to choose not to be forced to watch them or to be threatened by them. What they deserve is to have their arms cut off, their fingers cut off, their noses cut off, their ears cut off, and their feet cut off, so they can't do anything. That's what they deserve. So I have an option to listen to the news on the homepage, on the settings of YouTube or Facebook. It should not be forced on me underneath my channel to say, look who's watching you, and there's no opting out. To say, stay away from me. I'm not in a position to be a warrior. I was a warrior. For many years, Children's Social Services didn't touch me. They didn't dare touch me because I was fighting them. I had every meeting with them, and I rebuked them and corrected them when they were telling lies about me with smear campaigns. And so until I became very sick, I could no longer fight. So all of these are tyrants. Stay away from me. I'm not interested. I'll never vote for you. I never want to mention your name. I never want to see your face. But the more I say it, the more they come closer. So there's also the FBI, the CEO. I'm more human. I'm not an alien. Even if aliens like me, they're mine. All the weapons they possess, it's mine. Everywhere they go and travel, it's mine. So they're borrowing life from God. And so I laugh at them, and God laughs at them. It says, because they have stolen too much. They have been empowered too much. And it just does not make any common sense that people in general cannot not see. They're totally blind. That Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are the same thing. They're all a group of colonialists, idiots. And the more you vote for them and the more you pay their taxes. So what we need to do, there's this other devil up there who are the Muslims, going from the extreme of being a baby, a human adult curse, human baby, to being an adolescent. Well, these are like toddlers from age 8 to 9, 10. No, toddlers, no, age to 4, 5, 6, 7. They're toddlers. So from age 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, toddlers. Well, no, 5, something like that. And so this is the most dangerous here, the centrist and these here. So to elaborate what I'm saying with a toddler mindset, tend to tantrum, never criticize me, bad leadership, always say what they don't mean, the opposite of what they say, bad leadership. They would get away with murder, bad leadership, get away with crime by purchasing a judge, breaking the law constantly for their own advantages and merits, which are a false fraud, fraudulent in everything that they do. Toddler tantrum. It would, everything about them is about a tantrum. They have a sour, bitter, disgusting face, or too rough and too tough face. Living dead as zombies. So Gino Jennings, it belongs to the Queen of England over here. What's he doing there? He belongs over there with Trump. So many of these zombies that belong with Trump and Hillary and Putin have actually left these zombies and gone over there with the left. So they're no longer right, they've gone to the left. But they haven't changed for the better. So So this is why Christians are being so persecuted and damned in condemnation, because it's me who's the Prime Minister for my honesty and sincerity and civil rights and human rights. There are nobody. Any governor or professional that has committed a crime and not changed for the better, still lying, still cheating, still murdering as a gangster, how dare you call yourself a governor? Putting some 20-year-old who's not even 30-year-old in a position of senior titles in their careers. They're not seniors. They're not even 30 years old. What the hell? A lot of these children of social services had titles as seniors and they're not even 30 years old. So all of this is a corruption. Surrounded me on my social media, on my bank. And I've tested it thoroughly to say, oh, now I have to be afraid and hide in a remote island somewhere and marry a gangster. All I've ever done is work hard all my life not to be incriminated, not to have all the negative D's in a dictionary, not to be ruled and enslaved by foreign government. There needs to be a boundary to say we're a nationalist and have our strong national values. We don't want the foreign government getting involved in the globalist system, which is the inauguration of the political colonialists. And this system, which is a systemic abuse, both the old and the new, 200 to 500, even to BC in Roman times when they crucified Christ. So the centrist government, including Pope Francis in Italy, are all part of the same sect, except for Putin. Putin is not he's not a right, he's a left. But he's an oligarchy, imperial. So he's a bit of both. So he's a centrist government. But he's a lefty. He's a lefty more than he's a right, but he's still a centrist government, and that's what makes him so dangerous. And I'm thinking, oh, my father, who I've only met 4 or 5 times, who murdered his mum when she had blood poisoning in her foot, he took all her money and he didn't help her to get to be treated. Is he a murderer? Yes. Is he merciless? Yes. So I made the biggest mistake in following my father, who I've only met 4 times in 40 years plus. I'm not 50 yet. He's ruined my life, all my life. He was the one who introduced me to Putin. And the next thing I know, I've got Putin followers all over the place. I'm not a Putin follower, Slobodan Milosevic follower, or any gangster follower. So stay away from me. No is going to be a no forever. I'd rather die, and die I will one of these days. And I will decide when I go back to former Yugoslavia, when I'm retired in my 60s and 70s. No, when I'm in my 70s. Well, I don't know, when I'm in 80s and 90s, only then will I go and live in former Yugoslavia to die. While I live, I remain in England. I was born again in England. I was born in a hole, in a shithole, and I will die in a shithole. No, I won't die in a shithole. But poo hole, where we have no government in England since the Queen of England has died, the King of England has betrayed all of us by going over to the centrist government. And given the impression that the King of England is actually in control, when it's not. He's already handed us over to a foreign government, secretly, probably. And that, I don't know. I haven't spoken to any of them. I haven't done any research on any of them. I just sense that there's something wrong with my sixth sense and my intuition. That the royals cannot be trusted because they're the centrist, where Agenda 21 is. I just sense, not all the royals, but most of them. I just sense that there's something terribly wrong. There's a lot of friction between the tyrants about who's dominating the economy, who is loyal to who, and constant threats. So that's why I want to stay away. So stay away from me. I haven't lived. I've got enough problems of my own. I don't need the whole world on my shoulders. And this has been imposed on me by a misogynistic, nasty J, and his ugly, misogynistic and feminist tyrants who are, again, the centrists going right. Putin and the Pope Francis are the centrists going left, which I have subscribed to, which is Times Radio, and the other half of the royals. So the royals have separated, And so asking me, who do you belong to? I don't belong to neither. I'm not married. I'm not remarried. I'm not a taxpayer. I'm the most vulnerable, segregated in society as the marginalised. I'm not voting, so stay away from me. You don't own me. You're not my slave master. You're not giving me any money from the Crown of England. It's not your money. It's God's people's money, from those who are sovereign and from those that don't lie and cheat. So I will honour the royals. I will honour the government, who is honest and sovereign. I will not honour the government that is not a real government, that's a gangster and is not sovereign. That's what I'm trying to say. And it's very, very devastating to know that this is what's happened to our society as a result, that we are constantly being attacked, life threatened to be cut short by premature aging and premature death, for not being able to trust anybody, each for their own, which is sunshine after the rain. To say we will acknowledge God. God is our saviour, and we are the sovereign people. They're not, because they're constantly lying and cheating, stealing our jobs, stealing our land, stealing our children, which are the colonialists, and bombing the shit out of the poorest countries so that they can dominate. These are the toddlers I'm talking about, not the adults in the devil. Not the babies in the devil, and not the teenagers in the devil. They actually hate the law because they don't love the law. They destroy judges and lawyers, and they corrupt judges and lawyers by making judges partial judges. One law for the rich and the working class, another law for the poor. And so, to close the subject on this indignant, almost disgusting, God told me not to be disgusting, disgusted, because purity is stronger than perversity. So, in closing this subject on this type of division, both the devil, the bad angels dividing with the rebel, versus God dividing, truth versus lie. In closing this subject on division, this is out of order. The destroyed my freedoms in Christ, my freedoms in speech, my freedoms to tell the truth, nothing but the truth and only the truth. Well, they have just increased their fantasies and accused me and make allegations against me without evidence as worst hypocrites, and put these partial judges in court. So that's what they've done. In closing this video, it's the same as sickness and diarrhea. Everything that they do is bad leaders. Everything's disorganized. God is not a God of mess or chaos. Everything is fraudulent. So I have one letter that said from the council, you have received your bin, a new one, after the old one has been stolen. A total lie. I had never received a new bin. Got another letter which said, we have never sent you the new bin, you'll get another one. So one that tells the truth, another one that tells a lie. I'm getting both services, which is sickening. It's maddening. What else was I going to say? Pause. So in closing, is saying this. Listen, if I was the manager of social media, I would not take an innocent person who has never committed a crime and mix up a mixed bag on social media, which is YouTube and Facebook, the only ones I've ever used. I haven't used anything else. I had used Twitter as a one-off to follow Saudi Arabia because I saw Jonathan Pye do it, but I didn't realise that he was legally protected, the arsehole. The one who hates God. So I just wanted to study and learn about what's happening in the world and in every nation, not only Saudi Arabia. So listen, if I was the one in control of how the design and functionality of fair community standard works, I would do it differently. I would separate the disabled from the non-disabled. I would separate the single woman from the married woman because they think and behave differently. I would separate the Christians from the non-Christians. I would separate the criminals from the non-criminals. Even if you had a history of crime, I don't have a history of crime. I would separate the men from the women, because women and men think differently. They have different priorities. I would separate the various types of Christians, because there's so many. And with the New World Government, which is, wait a minute, the globalist. Oh, go away, you annoying pest. I've just peeled some orange and I've got fruit flies now from the orange peel. So this is a huge problem because, like, Pope Francis is a centrist government, the Catholics, that are not colonialists, but they are capitalists. And that's how they walk over the blood of Christ. It's not an equal opportunity when you have that, the poor versus the rich, and the gap getting more wider. That's what they're doing. And so they're the centrist government. That is, so Pope Francis and the Catholic Church is a centrist government, and the magnet is pulling the left, which is the left side of the brain, how they think. And then you have, and Putin also, Vladimir Putin of Russia, is a centrist government pulled towards the left. That's why the Queen of England hated them, because they were equal twins. They were equal twins, but one was supposed to do God's will, and the other one resisted God's will. Then you have Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, which is the opposite of the Queen of England and Putin, who are as twins over here. And then you have Trump and Hillary, which are over there. So they're the centrist, pulled by the magnet to the right side of the brain, how they think. Because of being colonial. So all colonialists are false fraud conservatives, satanic. And all the leftists are false fraud liberals. So both are horror. And the more I've tried originally, went for 6, 7, 8 years going on social media, putting a mask on to say the opposite of what I mean, to protect myself from these. But they soon uncovered my masks and the mystery of putting that mask there to say the opposite of what I mean, because they invaded my privacy. And they overpowered me politically and outnumbered me politically. So this is the centrist right. And there's Jonathan Pye flaunting and boasting about the pervert and obscurance of justice, that he hates God and that he's a bit of both, left and right. Liar. Jonathan Pye is the centrist right. No, the centrist left. He's a centrist left. Anyone who hates God, who calls itself a humanist or atheist, is the centrist left. The same as my ex-husband. So I don't belong, Christians don't belong to any of this type of politics, because it's a fraud government. It's not a government, it's a bloody gangster. Both are practicing fraud, both deserve a death sentence, and both deserve a prison sentence. So when I have cried for help to the police, I was crying for help to God's police first, and putting my local police to the test to see to what extent are they going to victimize me. And the result is to the full extent. And if they have apologized for any misunderstanding or misconduct, they would apologize in a disrespectful way. They don't mean it. And they would force me to relive my history in a negative sense, force me to repeat my history in a negative sense. Too much negativity is the centrist left. Too much false positivity is the centrist right. They're doing it for attention. They're doing it for themselves. They're not doing it because they're a team. They're doing it because how much more money are they going to get? Capitalist. And they're doing it because how much power are they going to have in dominating the land and the weapons and the sexual groomers. So they're both doing sexual grooming. They're both doing some type of gross medical negligence, gross perversity and obscurance of justice, kidnapping, partial judges. Both of them do it, both of them. So it's extremely satanic. God says, do not be friends with the world. If you are the friend of the world, you're an enemy of God. God also says through the scriptures, both the Old and New Testament, do not pray in public unless you're an ambassador and royal in Christ. You then read the scriptures. You then preach and teach. You're anointed. You are permitted to do so. So many teachers are preaching and teaching that shouldn't, because they've never suffered for the truth. They never have evidence, and I have had evidence deleted. And who's doing the deleting? It is the centrist right government that's doing the deleting. You don't own your property. You're not a home owner. Therefore, you will be overpowered and outnumbered by the centrist right capitalist colonialists. So they're actually the underscore, the more immature type of government. The adults and the left government even though that they have the evil baby curse through a totalitarian and dictatorship, the centrist left magnet pull, such as Putin and the Queen of England, the King of England, the centrist left, and Joe Biden, centrist left. So how is Hillary Clinton, the centrist right, dominating Joe Biden, the centrist left? All of this is a shamble, is a mess. They've lost their marbles. They're not true to themselves. They're constantly a mixed bag, and it's annoying. So they're saying in the news outlets and in real life that the centrist right, the more immature type, is dominating the centrist left, which is supposed to be the more mature type. So it's an old devil. This one's a more modern government. This one's a more old government. So out of the two, where the Times Radio is and where all the royals are, it isn't more dangerous because they don't mean what they say. So they're crafty. They're more crafty. The centrist left are more crafty compared to the centrist right, who is more dumb. So how can someone that is more dumb dominate and control someone who is more crafty and more intelligent? It doesn't make any sense. And they're the ones who are constantly saying that the left haven't got any IQ, that the left are the woke, that the colonials are accusing the capitalists of being woke, stupid, ugly, demasculinated, fascist, Hitler. They're a bit of both. They're both Hitlers. They're both tyrants. But I don't agree in all the sainthood with God as my witness that is the case. It's the one that's accusing that is that. More ugly, more stupid, low IQ, idiotic. Even spastics who are born spastics are more intelligent and beautiful compared to them, personality-wise, character-wise. So the very ones that are doing the constant accusing, which is the original dog cat in the centrist right, as the goats, God separating the goats from the sheep, but they're swapping as cats, and that's why they hate themselves so much they would eat a cat. So they're their own worst enemy. They hate themselves and they hate God, who is the centrist right. And they're constantly acting as someone that they're not, such as Marilyn Monroe. She was constantly acting as someone that they're not. So they're the betrayers and destroyers of Christ who are the same as Judas the Iscariot. However, those on the other side, the centrist right, are those who wanted to take over Jesus' ministry. There's not enough room for both leaders. Only one leader would dominate. So it's about dominating, which is the centrist left, the cat-dog type. But the demons will swap that so that they're behaving as the dogs over here, the centrist left, and the centrist right are behaving as, ironically, as the cats, the bad lions and lionesses that kill, steal, and destroy. Because the demons are constantly swapping and talking to each other and switching, soul-sucking, as perverts. So I have closed this video by asking the question, what has perversity and purity got in common? Nothing. So all the saints have to separate the perverts from the non-perverts. I don't want perpetrators of antisocial behavior perverts. I don't want paedophile perverts, pushing people into a victim category perverts and obscurance of justice, which is a corrupt police force. All of this has been designed and shaped by the gods and goddesses who are the centrist left. So the kidnappers are the centrist left. And all of them are put in one ball in Times Radio News, which I have subscribed, which is a royal channel. Like I'm saying, I'm royal in Christ because I'm not guilty. I'm forced to be guilty, even to the point of torturing me because of so much hatred for migrants living in England. This plainclothes police officer who had come to my daughter's school in plain clothes, wearing all black, speaking over the fence to see if he can capture her with his camera, he probably had a body camera, to capture my daughter saying something negative about me. And then soon after that, they kept that a secret. They dragged me to a court with only 1 week warning. And I was devastated. I had very little time to find a solicitor for family law who was Moss Beachley and Mullen. After 4 years, all my documents in the archive were deleted. So So I had a legal bundle. I went to the court by myself. I had a barrister and I had an attorney. And all of that has been overpowered by the centrist left government, Queen of England, the royals, who have made a huge bundle, fat like this, full of lies, one-sided information, disinformation. So they would cherry pick and choose what they wanted and would leave out the to validate why this negative thing was there, because the positive thing was missing, not because of my fault, somebody else's fault. But it's always my fault. It's never somebody else's fault, which is an organised crime. So this it's totally negative. So the centrist left is corrupted because it's totally negative. The centrist right is totally corrupted because of extreme positivity, such as you having positive AIDS, sexual disease. So this is AIDS over here, and that one over there is COVID-19, airborne diseases, famous fart. One accusation, so the one who Queen of England loved so much had allocated to spy on me for 20 years, to demoralise me, to dehumanize me, to do all the negativities in the dictionary. She did that. If it's not the Queen of England, then somebody in a connection to the Queen of England in the royal family, which is a capitalist. So they can make up any lie through cherry picking to make propaganda and to do extreme negativism, extreme partial judgment, extreme hate crime, extreme tunnel vision, extreme disinformation, lies, all lies, nothing but lies. So therefore, I don't belong to either. But why have I subscribed to a Royal Channel news agent? Because I know that they believe they already own me. They own my home through capitalism. So it's house owners versus the non-house owners. They own my social media. They already own me. They own my child, my one and only child in the education indoctrination system. So out of the two, who's the bigger tyrant? Out of the two, who's the bigger Hitler? Is it Trump or is it Putin? It's obviously Putin and former Queen of England and all her connections. Currently, it would be anybody who is her right hand, even after her death. I don't personally believe that Queen of England is deaf. I personally believe that was a clone in the coffin. It was someone that looked alike to the Queen, or not even a human being in that coffin. It looked like a human being body, but it wasn't. I don't believe that the Queen of England is dead, because of the way it happened and the way the news was put out. It was a telltale sign that it was all a designer. Because she is an empire, and even her husband, that is probably dead. I don't know, but I'm just using my instinct because he was that much older than her. However, she's the empire, and she dominates Africa. She dominates the global movement, which is globalism. So the centrist left government is a master in the baby curse and in the adolescent curse, adolescent mind, with the adult mind, brain, how they think. So they are the masters who have the puppets on the string of the globalist. And so this is why Trump hates globalism now, because he wants to cut off all the strings of the puppet masters. And that's another reason I want to stay away from Donald Trump supporters, Hillary Clinton supporters, Obama supporters, American supporters. Joe Biden is up here with the King of England. So these are the real masters over here. And George Soros, centrist left. They're the real masters of the world. So their world system is not the same as the Christian and the God's worldly system. We're different. We have different policies, domestic policies, employment policies, working force policy, education policy. All of it is different. Oh, there's Answers in Genesis and True News. All of that is over here, the centrist right. My foster mum is also called Anne, who is Catholic. She's the centrist right. These are the groups over here, the centrist right, that are acting to be someone that they're not, as Marilyn Monroe. They constantly say something, but mean something the opposite in action. And I wanted to protect myself, my spiritual body and physical body from them when I first started social media. I could not afford, by legal aid or from my own pocket, to have 3 or 4 solicitors to help me fight these giants. that are constantly threatening, doing death threats in me, and constantly making me want to have premature aging and premature death. Because I don't have a solicitor or a lawyer for 4 or 5 things that they are constantly attacking. My one and only daughter, I cannot call myself a mother anymore or a parent anymore. My security at the front door, being stalked and spied on for 20 years, allocated by... So these puppets or muppets are on the string, the stalkers, of the Queen of England and all her capitalists, who are racist institutionally. They actually are racist towards anyone who is not, who has very little money in the bank. So they own us. Keir Starmer is also the centrist right. The centrist. Keir Starmer is a centrist left. He's a lefty. That's the only reason why I like Trump, because he's targeting Keir Starmer for destruction. So they're saying in their worldly system, in conclusion, that the money makes the world go round. The money god, the sex god, the drug god, Arnold Schwarzenegger. So any history of drug abuse, of sex abuse, of any other type of abuse is categorically a tyrant. We have nothing in common, remember. We cannot negotiate, remember. We cannot compromise, remember. We cannot communicate, remember. They keep putting the phone down on me. So my local police is dominated by the centrist left. And they hate each other. So you have the policeman over here versus the policeman over there. And I'm like stuck in the middle. Don't want to be stuck in the middle. I've had enough of that. What do you think? So I've had enough of these invaders. I pray that God's anger would be released. I pray that God will keep me in God's arms and protect me from the devil and the rebel angels who are accusing me 24/7. I pray that God will give me the vitality, the vigilance, the victory through Christ, to always never give up, to always rest, do what I can do, and don't do what I cannot do. So one day at a time, a little bit at a time, and have my facts. I don't want them jumping into conclusion. So I've got videos again that I'm doing continually, even though I'm not going to post them for the whole month. I'm going to title, this is my album, which is titled February 2025. So not posting it, no, March 2025. So I'm not posting these videos until March 2025. The hawk is already eyeing me up on my private sim and videos and social media, which is absolutely nothing to do with them. And they insist, as sharks. So I have titled it March. I'm having a gap, no social media for the whole month of February. None whatsoever. None. As the Turkey says. Turkish Muslims, none. Comes from Turkey. I'm not Turkish. So I'm staying away. And this is my absence video. To think how they've ruined my life on social media. So what is systemic abuse? Children. Social services. What are the married whores about? Married whores, political whores, social! So it's the fat versus the fit. I'm not fat, but I'm fat because of abuse. They want to be first seen and first heard as boasters in their body. I'm not even boasting. I'm just saying I know God and God knows me. Simple, straightforward. Why do they have to make a social, complex situation of the worst case scenario? I'm a single, beautiful woman who does not have diabetes, who does not have cancer, who does not have a disease. I have a virus that has been rejected by the doctors to treat, which is a rotavirus in my stomach. I had an abscess because an evil doctor inserted some black dot bacteria in my belly when he was examining me secretly as a private sector mixed in by the witch's pot into the public sector of the hospital. So this evil doctor inserted something, or either deliberately or by accident, where the tubes were not cleaned properly. So I've got some type of an infection in my stomach and I need antibiotics, and I have been rejected to have that. So I'm very sick. I have very swollen stomach. I look pregnant. I don't have layers in my stomach or my spine. I have a beautiful spine. So I don't have layers. And if I have a little bulge, it's only a little bulge. I don't look obese. I've spread my fat in a very subtle way. That's how God has blessed me. But these cursed are coming on my platform saying I'm a beast. I'm not a beast. I have heavy bones and heavy boobs, and I have a normal spine, but I have a bulge on it because of the problems I have with my spine, which is a medical problem. So they've stolen my medical records, stolen my passport records, stolen my documents, all on Google and on YouTube, connected to Google. And my bank details. Even though I've opted out after 2 years, they're still in it. What I should shop, what I'm allowed to shop, what I'm not allowed to shop as a 5-year-old. I'm not a 5-year-old, I'm nearly 50 years old. So this is abuse. This is tyranny. No wonder our economy is being destroyed. We might as well go back to the Stone Ages. And the devil knows it, which is the left. Right, the left, the centrist left. They want to destroy the Western civilization because it's not working and make a new traditional society to allow people to be wild and destroy all government. All of it. Because it's all corrupt. How dare do they call themselves government when it's a gangster? And it's impossible to do. Only God could do that. So these human gods and goddesses, where do they come from? Centrist left. The baby cursed, not the holy type of baby, not the holy type of disabled, the unholy type. The baby type. Then there is the adolescent, very rebellious adolescent. So who's more of a Hitler? Centrist right or centrist left? It's the centrist left. The centrist left is more of a Hitler, the old type of what used to be the government. It's now a gangster. And this is the new type of Hitler, what used to be the old government of the right. So I'm staying with the traditional. I don't want to have anything to do with Boris Johnson and their centrist right. Nigel Farage, Tommy Robinson's centrist right. Nope. Who else is there? Ben Shapiro, Benjamin Netanyahu. There was somebody else. Jordan Peterson and somebody else. I can't remember his name on the top of my head now. Gordon Ramsay belongs to the centrist right. Hillary Clinton is the centrist left. So them two working together, and the centrist government is entirely the devil. It's the world system of abuse. I want them out of the schools, out of the entertainment system, out of the newspapers, out of my social media, out of my home, out of my shopping centre. Get out! Get out! Get out! I have no shower because of you. I have no children because of you. I have no youth because of you. I have no food that I want, that I need every day, and no medicine because of you. So why would I, in my right mind, that I have got a sane mind, want to vote for them? Stop voting for the government. Stop paying your taxes. Stop working. You should all become unemployed. You should all go and break your backs. You should all, at every opportunity, do the Guy Fawkes and get rid of the current Parliament of London and the current Parliament of United Kingdom, USA. And who else is there? The black supremacist and the white supremacist, who is a colonial and capitalist. Get rid of all of them. They're all tyrants. If you want to be a holy warrior and a holy soldier for Christ. We want to get rid of this corrupt government. It's not a government. It's a gangster. Let's get that in your thick head. Children have to be re-educated as a result of following and listening to the gangster who are constantly saying, give me the money, give me the money. If you don't give me the money, for colonialists and capitalists will come and get rid of you forever. So it's Satan versus saints forever. Constant war. Like I said, if I had the opportunity and if I had a sword, I would cut their heads off and kick it around like a football. That's how damned, God damned they are. So stay away from me. Stay away from my medical records, from anything to do with my body, physical or spiritual body, my voice, my facial recognition, my children. Stay away. Even if they've indoctrinated my daughter and turned her against me, that is not her. She's demon-possessed as a result of their intervention. They're not her mother, biological mother. They're a surrogate mother who had kidnapped my daughter, brainwashed her, turned her against me with lies, and told her things, how she should live, how she should survive. They've even given her weapons to murder her own mum. I wouldn't murder her. I would never murder my own child. However, if somebody else murders her or somebody else murders me, we still belong to heaven. We're God's people. My daughter has free will. She chose to follow Christ, not because she was converted, because she enjoyed having a relationship with Christ, singing, dancing, playing, and reading the Bible, and removing the devil. She enjoyed that. But they overpowered me in my sickness, on my sickbed, and when I injured my back carrying her bicycle. When I regret ever liking my dad because he's a murderer. He murdered his mum. And I regret ever liking my mum because she murdered her mum with high heels and other things. She used to hit her mum over the head and hit me over the head until he started bleeding. And my mum's mum died. My dad's mum died because he took all her money, so she couldn't have money to save her in her age 50s. She was 50. She was in her 60s, I think. She was in her 60s. Not even 70s. She could have been saved. She could have still been alive if former Yugoslavia, Serbia, had treated her and prevented her from imminent death through blood poisoning. She could have been saved. But my horrible, horrid, lazy, too late layabout, he didn't have an injured back. He was a horrible misogynist. Same as an Arab who would take somebody else's body that's a living body as a shield to protect himself. That's how horrible he is. I don't want to look like him. I don't want to sound like him. I don't want his personality. I don't want his hairy beard and his hairy DNA in my body as a hairy monster. He's a horrible, horrible, horrible man. So is my mother, biological mother. They're murderesses. They're horrid perverts. The Bible says to King David, even though your mother and father abandoned you, I will never abandon you. Even though he was a sinner, and that's what a real politician is like, who is humbled, who admits when they do wrong. Not a stupid idiocy type of a leader who never admits when they've done wrong, who never apologizes from their heart, and who never is true to themselves. They say what they don't mean. Same as my foster mum and many bad Catholics. So that's how I close my video. My life has been wasted and ruined enough because of both types. And the only reason why I'm following Time Radio is hoping and waiting and praying for the Holy Spirit to come back to keep them accountable for what they've done and to confront them, to say, stop hiding the truth. Because it is the truth that sets us free, not money. I'm not praying for anybody in particular. I'm just saying, God, do something. Make them acknowledge what they've done that's wrong and make it put it right. Open the doors and the opportunities for us to have more options and more choices in poverty, and find a way to try and find people and leaders that are reasonable, not unreasonable. To find people that are professional, not going to abuse their professional powers, and that will be right. Not upside down left as a bat. That's how I'm a holy bat, drinking their bad blood. So that's why I subscribed, to say, look, you have to, not only do you have to admit wrongdoing and evil doing, as to be a humble Christian, or a humble anybody, Buddha, Muslim, anyone, is as a truth seeker, not only do you have to admit wrongdoing and evil doing, you have to allow God to help you change. Somebody addicted to pornography, for example. I never enjoyed watching pornography. I was responsible watching pornography. In physical pain, I did not join in their pleasure as a one-off because I wanted to know what they're teaching my daughter. And because I wanted to dispossess Satan that says that they're in love, in perversity, when it's not love, it's lust, it's human worship. So turn around and say this is not human worship, it is worshipping God instead of worshipping humans. That's why I did it, to say they can't have that. One-off. I was in physical pain every minute, every hour, every second. And I watched pornography because I was in pain and because I wanted to find out what perverts know that I don't know. Scrutinize them. I'm the adult here. I'm the one who is not a pervert. And I did not take interest in perversity and pornography, and I was not addicted. I was using it as pain relief after having my ovary cut. I had it cut because I was forced to take contraception. from age 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Same type given to horses. And it destroyed my womanhood. It destroyed my reproductive system. It destroyed my ovary. It inflamed and irritated my polycystic ovary. It started growing big, and it pushed my bladder. 14 years I suffered because of John Roderick's, who violated his virgin bride, pervert, going to the Seventh-day Adventist church, giving them tithes and offering, preaching their sermons, and at the same time being an user for his manhood, and he's filthy pervert. He got remarried to a woman called Edina, who is a Hungarian, still European, and his shitty family, who are now getting bigger and bigger, and more shitties, and more pesty flies. As the devil being... This is a bad type of an orphan. I'm a good type of an orphan, right? He's the bad type of an orphan because he's got shitty peace in tax paying and money. I have shitty peace in persecution and physical pain. So it's a parallel universe. My shitty poo-poos and pee-pees is legitimate because of my disability. His shitty poo-poo and pee-pees is because of his mental illness. Not because he's disabled physically, he's disabled mentally. A mental retard. He had a blonde girlfriend who slept in his bed with another man. So why should he be promoted? Why should he have evil peace and evil freedom and have a free travel pass? And get richer as a criminal and as a sexual offender and as an evil slave master. So I'm against him. If I had an opportunity and a weapon, I would get rid of his head and kick it around like a football. So there's a difference between poo-poo and pee-peep for having chronic pain and being an injured warrior as a veteran. That's who I am. Compared to someone who's a filthy pervert and an abuser that is getting promoted because he's a tyrant. What a load of crap. To be promoted in your career and in your family because you're a tyrant? Crap. A bad type of shitty poo-poop. Loose. Smear. Who only blesses himself after his blonde girlfriend shit on him and had poo and pee and sex in his bed where they were committed with another man. And then everybody felt sorry for him, and he was so scared that he immediately got another woman, Edina from Hungary. Poor John Roderick's. You poor gangster, you shitty vomit in my toilet. But for me, no, I couldn't do that because the government wouldn't allow it. The devil wouldn't allow it. God wouldn't allow it. Instead, they forced me to have torture and poison in my body because they knew and acknowledged that I was holy, pure, true and right. And that's why they did it. They stopped me having a true lover. I've never had a true lover. They stopped me having a family. They acknowledged I was a holy type of orphan, and John Roderick is an unholy type of orphan. His parents don't love him. They don't give a crap about him. But as for my parents, if they care about me 10%, it is only to promote and to make more money for them. So my mother's side belongs to Trump, which is the left right, and my father's side is the centrist left. It belongs to the centrist left. I don't like neither of my parents. I don't belong to them. They're not my parents. They never paid me a penny. They never took care of me. They dumped me in a boarding school. They never had holidays. They gave me second-hand clothing. I did everything the opposite of what my parents did. I gave my daughter second-hand clothing, and I gave her new clothing. And I gave all the money for child maintenance for her. It was never nothing for me. Every money that I had was there for her and her priority. It wasn't just takeaways and pizza was like twice a week. Takeaways and pizza was twice a month, every 3 or 4 weeks. So I was very well organized that the enemy came to distort that information and spread lies. Get your nose out of my bank. Get your nose out of my pocket. Get your nose out of my loft. Get your nose out of my balcony. Get yourselves away from me. Your disgusting echoing voice, your disgusting and despicable echoing systemic abuse. You are disgusting. The same as poo and pee and vomit in my toilet. Because you perverse and obscure justice. Because you incriminate the innocent. And because you put us in harm's way. You don't protect. You only protect yourself and you only feed yourself, which is a bad leader, a bad manager, a bad boss. Who would want to have a murderer for a boss? A genocidal maniac for a boss? Not me. If I can't run, I would hide. If I can't hide, I would spit at it. I would fill a bucket of urine and throw at it. Bucket of vomit and throw at it. If I can't run, if I can't hide, I will do something against it. So I think social media is out of order doing this, putting me at harm's way, listening to me as a member of the public to say my social media has nothing to do with you. I'm not socializing with you. You're not my friend. Anybody who pays taxes to the government, my intention is to destroy this corrupt, false government. A true government, a sovereign government, does not exist. Not as far as I know, and if there is somebody who's sovereign in a true government, I certainly want to know who they are. Who is not a criminal, who's not a murderer, who's not a robber and a rapist. I want to know who they are. Where are they? And if they're hiding, come out of your hiding. Because God does not want us to hide. If we are full of light, we need to go on the lampstand. We're going to need to go on the table. You don't hide a lamp under a table. You put it on the table. So stop hiding. Be brave, courageous like I am today, and confront them. Say no. I will not vote for you. I will not endorse you. I am not a political candidate. I am not a political prisoner. I am not a victim. I'm a survivor. You're an invisible enemy. You haven't physically attacked me yet. Once I'm physically attacked, and I could visibly see the individual, then I am a victim. So get that right in your thick skull of systemic abuse. Closing my video, how the difference between saints and God separating versus Satan separating and making division, destroying families and friends and treating us as if we're children. No, they're the bad, perverted children. What do you think, Mosa? Mumu, Sasa. Are you a female? Are you going to give me baby chicks? So I'm not playing. Why can't I relax? Why do I have to hide all the time? Because just in case somebody steals my features and does identity theft. It's out of order. It's illegal. It shouldn't be only available protections for rich and the working class. Woe to you! Warning to you.